Hey, welcome back to YT Finance, and this is the channel where I went to business school so you didn't need to, and today we are talking about how I grew a $2,000 stock portfolio up to $100,000 very rapidly. So if you want more stock portfolio updates from me, which I will release either bi-weekly or maybe every month, don't forget to go and annihilate that like button right now. Subscribe if you are new. Don't forget to become a member of this channel for as little as 99 cents per month because that's what keeps me here on YouTube, and with all of that being said, let's jump right into today's video. So clearly this is going to be a highly requested video, which is a portfolio update, and I'll be explaining how I grew an account from $2,000 up to close to $100,000. Back on January 28th of 2021, we started a retirement portfolio at $2,767, and in previous videos, I outlined my overall strategy for this portfolio. I essentially was using a growth strategy paired with some dividend stocks. So I had my core ETFs over here, and then I also had my top holdings for the year of 2023. And as you can see, my top holdings would consist of Alphabet, Amazon, United Health, Berkshire Hathaway, Meta Platforms, Visa, JP Morgan Chase, Johnson & Johnson, McDonald's, Honeywell International, as well as Union Pacific. And if you wanted to know their dividend yields at the time, they are right here on screen. However, that was just to give me further diversity because my top holdings due to my ETFs would be Apple and Microsoft, which have both performed extraordinarily well. So the majority of my portfolio actually consists of core ETFs such as SCHD, QQQ, and VTI. However, I have also invested into VOO, IWY, RSP, and MTUM, just to name a few. And the reason for this is because MTUM gave me momentum plus dividend. So essentially, whatever the hottest stocks are over the last 6 months, this ETF would automatically invest me into those companies, so I didn't have to constantly keep up with the hottest stocks on the market. It's essentially having your own portfolio manager all in a single ETF. If you've ever invested into ARK's ETF, which is ran by Kathy Wood, this would be a similar thing, except the expense ratio is far lower than an ARK ETF, so that would give me momentum to keep up with the hottest stocks without me consciously having to buy and sell stocks in my portfolio. I like to do things automatically. Next we have SCHD, which is a dividend ETF, which provided the stable backbone to my portfolio, with a high dividend yield of 3.51% at the time and a very low expense ratio of just 0.06. But dividends aren't enough. I needed growth, and I wanted aggressive growth, so I did technology growth by investing into QQQ, which has a very small dividend of just 0.81, and this is what's really supposed to ignite my overall portfolio while in a bull market. But even in a bear market, I wanted major resiliency and stability for my overall portfolio, which is why I invested into VTI. The dividend yield is not that impressive, coming in at only 1.68, but the expense ratio is like nothing. It's only at 0.03. And you do have to keep in mind that these are older statistics which are from 2023. But on top of my top 10 holdings, or my top 10 picks, with the honorable mention of Union Pacific over in 2023, as well as my core ETF holdings and my top 2 performers, I also have invested into a plethora of other companies as well, which you can see on screen here. With that being said, it seems that this strategy that I've been doing has worked very well, and I want to keep you all updated on exactly what I've been doing with my portfolio so you can visually see the overall growth that I am experiencing. And to do that, let's start off to where I was on January 28th of 2021, which is $2,000 with a goal of reaching $100,000. As you can see, the next update was on September 13th of 2021, to where we already grew $2,000 up to $26,000. Now you do have to remember, I am adding money to this portfolio constantly, while also investing into my top ETFs, blue chip companies, and dividend stocks, which remember, I don't like to allocate more than a 5% allocation to these companies on an initial allocation basis. However, for my ETFs, which would still consist of VTI, SCHD, and QQQM instead of QQQ, I've changed that because it has a lower expense ratio and it essentially does the same thing, so why not just invest into the one that has a cheaper expense ratio so I'm not spending so much money. But the initial 5% portfolio allocation rule only applies to singular stocks, and they only apply to single risky stocks. They would not apply to blue chip stocks nor ETFs, mutual funds, or index funds, especially if they are high performers, which are the exact ones that I carry in my portfolio. Probably between 50 to 80% of my portfolio are in ETFs, index funds, and mutual funds, with again VTI, SCHD, and QQQM being my all-time favorites, at least for now, until I change my mind. We can then skip to my next portfolio update, which was $50,000. This was a time of major volatility in the overall stock market because we lost $2,321 in just a single month, with the portfolio down around 4.43%. And remember, in times of volatility, I really rely on my dividend ETF, which is SCHD, as well as VTI. However, after months of being in the $50,000 to $54,000 range, we eventually broke out to $60,000 many months later, to where in the past year we added around $29,000 over the past year to this overall portfolio, meaning the year before we either added or gained $30,000 to a total of $60,000. And this is really where my growth ETF, which was QQQ as well as MTUM, really started to take off. But that's not the end of the story. We also did another portfolio update a couple months later, which then gapped up to $75,000, putting us at a total year gain of $30,964, which is very impressive, to where eventually we capped out at around $91,302, which is where we are sitting at currently. Now, the reason why today is only $91,000 and not $100,000 is because recently the overall stock market gapped down, and this decreased my overall portfolio, and I'm also including around $7,000 to $8,000 in another portfolio that I have going right now, which I am also growing very rapidly, using another strategy which is more aggressive than this one, because remember, this is a retirement portfolio, which means that the majority of it should be made up of mutual funds, ETFs, and index funds, which are high performing. We want safe stability and proper risk management because that's how we grow overall portfolios, and honestly, that is probably the best strategy. Now, this year, my goal is to reach $130,000 for this overall portfolio, and I think this is very achievable. So we are going to have literally an entire year to make this portfolio gap up to around $130,000, which I think is more than achievable. If I really had to put my thumb down, I think we could potentially reach $143,000 overall, but only time is going to tell. So I am going to be doing periodic updates every month on this portfolio just so you can see how it's gaining and how this ETF portfolio, which has a couple top earners, has been performing compared to the general stock market. Because even if you looked at when my portfolio was $75,000, it gapped up 69.89% over the past year, which are very good numbers. So expect for me to add more snapshots of my overall portfolio, and also look forward to my top 10 picks for 2024, just like I did back in 2023, because I want to keep you updated on literally the best stocks to buy right now. And I have a lot of videos on this, but I want to show you me actually putting these types of companies in my portfolio. So just like last year, I'm going to pick my top 10 investments and I'm going to put them on sheet 2 because we are in a new year. And if I make any changes to my overall portfolio, or if I change my ETF taste, I will let you know. But essentially, the main takeaway from this video is that if you have a retirement account, you should look forward to stable growth by investing into mutual funds, ETFs, and index funds, to where my favorites are ETFs and blue chip stocks, as well as some dividends for the backbone during times of volatility. And again, my top picks regarding ETFs for 2024 are VTI, SCHD, and QQQM. With that being said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video. Don't forget to go and annihilate that like button right now. Subscribe if you are new. And with that being said, I will see you in the next YT video.